We will be going into the discussion panel regarding the lessons learned. After you heard all our experiences from all the pilots, we would like to discuss with all our pilots coordinators and the other project partners what we have learned so far. And also I wanted to ask Zuzanna if she will present the co-creation workshops in the introduction, because this is also our best practices and what we have learned so far within the project. Zuzanna, could you present it?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. That would be very nice. And we have few moments to set it up
How
all here.
lovely. How much time do I have?
I would say 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
3 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, so
Yeah, and
we need
then
to
we
be
will
quick.
continue with discussion. So no worries. I mean, we will not cut you half.
Lovely.
Thank you.
So greetings again, and happy to hear you. I'm not sure, do I? Oh, yes, I do have an actual power over this presentation. Okay, the very first, very quick thing, what the co-creation means and what co-creation workshops are. Those is the
Okay.
This is the tool which we developed, and which is not something new, but something we were focusing on during pilots. And
Yeah,
the
I will
purpose
tell.
of this is basically to join people from different sectors who are for every day not meeting together and not having a conversation, to actually had this conversation during different type of workshops. And from this conversation, we want to co-create and create a new developments and new policy and new situation in the cities. So the main purpose of those activities was to boost co-creative design and facilitation, then to ensure interactive participation, and to boost the discussion between stakeholders after the in-person event. So basically to boost the networking between sectors. The output that we stated at the beginning was to practice, so gaining some experience in conducting workshops, and especially this very different type of workshops which are cross-sectoral. The knowledge, so sharing good practice and acquiring new tools for the participation work, so where we can see how the cooperation with different sectors may shared and wider our view, and improvements of building benchmarking. What we actually did. The first, all pilots had to decide what kind of co-creation workshop they want to do and to plan them. We as an output leader provide them with the specific online Excel file where there was a question guided them to what they should focus on when they are planning workshops. And as well, we have a workshops, how to do the workshops online because of the COVID situation. So we had experts who showed us how to do it more participatory and more interesting for participants. Then everyone conducted workshops. It was from 2 to 12, even in some cities. And after that, our partners shared the ideas and the experience regarding, was it easy, was it useful, what methods they used, and whether they like it or not. I can tell you a secret, they liked it, so you can too. After that, we created the final document. The final document, which showing the general idea of the workshops, including what kind of workshops our partners did, and what kind of obstacles they had to manage. So in here you see like 5 pages from the document where you can see the duration, for example, of workshops usually conducted. The whole idea of the methods, we've shown which partners liked the most and which was not that very efficient. What kind of participants they had and whether it was easy to work with people from different sectors on those workshops. The second part is the 9 ready-to-use recipes for workshops. So each partner from each city shared the example of what exactly they did. So in there you will see a short description, what is the idea of this method to co-create. Then you will see the details. So what is the target group? Is this more online or offline format? Then some pros and also some cons, because nothing is perfect. And then the actual experience from the partner. So exactly what they had to, for example, cope with, and how they did it, and whether it was working for them and for their partners. I don't know whether I managed to fit in the time I got, but this is the final slide. Back to studio.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, and back to studio.
Lovely.
And this part will be moderated completely by our moderator Mikko Vienonen. So I would like to give floor to him. Please, Mikko. Now.
Thank you very much. Very interesting day we have had, and I'm 100% sure that we have all kinds of thoughts wandering in our head. Now then, I hope that there's also somebody who can take from the audience out there if somebody has questions, but that is beyond my control, so to say. My role is not here to give any lectures, but I have one slide which I would like to ask you to show to our audience. This is the records of our Northern Dimension partnership countries track record from 2003 to 2017. We have, together with a non-communicable disease expert group, we have for the second time calculated what is the potential years of life lost in our region. This is an indicator where we are not calculating people who have died, but how many people have died younger than 70 years, and also analyzed the causes. But here, as the 3 curves show that the one on the far left side, there is men and women put together, and the 10 countries really nice. Where our Northern Dimension partners are. And you see that then the one in the middle, it is much lower, which means it is much better. This is our women. And on the far right side, there is the record of men. Why I'm showing this, I'm not trying to say that somebody is better than the other. That can, of course, also be interesting, but that's the other story. My point is here that, as you see, all our countries have improved, and improved in a tremendous way. And this means that we are gaining more healthy years. And just like I said earlier today, is what comes first, health or wealth? Is that mainly it looks that first comes health and then comes wealth. But of course, it turns like a cycle and upwards, which means that in this case, it goes downwards, because that's what we want, that people live full life and healthy lives. And this is what you have been doing, all this project as part. Of course, we are all trying into that. You see that there is also quite a lot of work still to be done. Especially men should learn very much from the lifestyle and healthy habits of women. And perhaps this is a challenge also to our women to try to drag the men up from the ditch. All this will then be published. It has been already published in 3 seminars last spring. Many of you have perhaps even taken part, but nevertheless, this was the good news, and including that we have a lot improvements still to do, and that's what we want to focus now. So you can take this picture out so that we are focusing again our today's points, which is the lessons learned. What are the lessons learned? I hope to give the floor very much to you, but my role is also to provoke you in putting the best knowledge what you have. And sometimes it is good to have somebody like me, that I'm not so intensively been involved what you are doing. I've been trying to follow, but therefore I can also make these so-called, in Finnish we call it tyhmät kysymykset, which means stupid questions that sometimes can be quite helpful. Firstly, I would like to ask, and my character is also provoking a little bit, from you in the projects, please, could you tell me? I've been waiting quite a lot, as having worked with WHO, World Health Organization. I know that the biggest challenge if we want to say where are the biggest fish swimming, it is actually tobacco, smoking. Smoking is a biggest health problem that we should try to do something about. The second biggest is actually in Northern Dimension, it is alcohol. And then comes, of course, nutrition and overweight and that type of things. So now the question which I, as a moderator's voice, would like to bring is that for instance, when these activities in sports and walking, in having walking meetings, has there ever at all been discussion that, for instance, that when we go walking, that we don't like if somebody is smoking, although we are outside, and also in a way. Would alcohol in any way be involved in the activities that you have been doing? For instance, how alcohol should be handled when there are children, small children around, etc., and so forth. But would you have anything to comment on this point?
I would say that our cities maybe can. City coordinators can add few words, or guests here who can. I know that regarding the sports, there has been Tartu dealing with the sports. Maybe Piret, can you say something?
Yes, it's an interesting question coming from physical activity to tobacco and alcohol. But I think that whenever we deal with healthy habits, it's about making it possible to make healthy decisions. So just show me anyone who smokes who doesn't know that smoking is bad for your health, or show me anybody who doesn't know that sitting for too long time is bad for your health. But the question is why we can't do healthy choices, and what could help us or motivate us to make healthy choices. And for example, in Tartu, we wanted to make it easier for people to make those choices. So, for example, with physical activity, it needs a lot of motivation to stand up after a long working day and go to gym and take another hour or two to make exercises and do training. But if we encourage people to be active the whole day, the whole working day, and it's a normal part of their working day, it doesn't look too difficult anymore, and it becomes a normal habit. And I think it's the same with tobacco, it's the same with alcohol. It's about how we can build those good habits, not only about increasing the knowledge of those bad habits or saying that that eating too much sweets and drinking too much beer is bad for your health, but trying to motivate and trying to make those healthy choices as easy as possible. So I think with all kind of habits, it's the same process. How to motivate and how to build this environment around the people to help them make those choices.
Thank you. I would like to add one more thing. I think that the point is now to decrease the popularity or the coolness of smoking. That's among the youngsters. That would be the most important thing. I'm not young anymore, but I think that this is something that among young people is most appealing. They don't like the smoking or drinking as it is, but the social requirement among their the same of the people of the same age is to be cool. So that's how they are getting into that. But thank you. I have added my thoughts. Risto, you wanted to add something?
Risto.
Yes, thank you. I think Piret's comment was very good and interesting, and it raised into my mind the one of the aims in the Turku pilot, which was the loneliness or preventing the loneliness. Here again, as you defined it, it's like offering some other choices instead of alcohol or such. So this is I think one of the points in this Turku pilot also to like focus on loneliness, to find ways for people to have activities instead of being lonely and perhaps using substance too much. So in a way, like not directly but indirectly, it was perhaps also in the Turku pilot.
Maybe I will also would like to give the word to Cherepovets city, because they have their platform called 0530. So 0 stands for zero bad habits. So maybe someone from Cherepovets, Natalia, or who is hearing us from Cherepovets, could you add something regarding this question?
Cherepovets, пожалуйста.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me okay?
Yes, we do hear you.
Did you hear the question?
So we are here with Tatiana Shestakova, and so in a team from Cherepovets city. So thank you very much, first of all, for such a great project. It's a great pleasure for us to take part in it. And yes, I was listening to you, and if you please give me some hints, so I'm ready to talk about our lessons learned while implementing the project, and our further steps, how we are going to use the model while implementing our pilot. So what you are mainly interested in?
Can I try to help you? Perhaps it goes through the interpreter, so I try to speak slowly. And Tatiana, hello, my old good friend in Cherepovets. But I think the point was that I was provoking projects in Healthy Boost a little bit, that so little was reported on alcohol and tobacco issues. And we noted here, quite rightly, that Cherepovets with this 0, 5, 30 model actually means that there are issues which are zero, which should not be either used at all, which is tobacco, or used in a wise, regular manner, which might be on alcohol. And your project is, in a way, the only one here reported today where you directly have taken up these zero questions, which quite rightly somebody, I think which was from Tartu, she said, well, everybody knows it already, that we don't need to talk about it. Nevertheless, it is the biggest killer. But Tatiana, please, how is in your project the question whether zero issues, how has it been taken up with your public, or has it been very difficult? Please, the floor is yours.
Спасибо большое, Мика. Я очень рада тоже видеть вас. Хорошо ли меня слышно? Спасибо нашему замечательному переводчику. Денис Кугай нас переводит сегодня, и мы можем говорить на русском языке и слушать всех вас. Я хотела сказать, что действительно все выросло из движения здоровых городов. И когда мы с вами встречались в России больше 10 лет назад, Мика, это начиналось еще тогда. И вот как раз профилактика неинфекционных заболеваний, а это входят факторы, поведенческие факторы риска, включая курение, употребление табака, двигательная активность, это никуда не ушло из жизни людей. И эти факторы, которые, к сожалению, доминируют во всех странах Балтийского региона, они волнуют и нас, специалистов по укреплению общественного здоровья. И когда выбирался проект по здоровому образу жизни в Череповце, как раз вот были выбраны эти основополагающие факторы. 0 – это 0 вредных привычек. Я бы хотела сказать, что вот 0 вредных привычек, мы к этому только, это наша цель. Безусловно, это уже не конечный результат. И создание портала на основе той межведомственной модели, которая была предложена в рамках проекта Healthy Boost, это как раз та самая платформа, где не только выступают эксперты, специалисты с интерактивными играми, с лекциями, с вебинарами, но это еще и пример лучших практик других стран. Это пример практик успешных граждан, которые бросают курить, которые... То есть привычка, говорят, что это вторая натура. И вот как избавиться от вредной привычки не с помощью стереотипов, которые уже, пожалуй, не работают в обществе, а с помощью как раз альтернатив и показа этих альтернатив, причем среди разных целевых групп граждан. И вот портал и платформа, оно способствует тому, чтобы любой житель города, зайдя туда, имея соответствующее приложение, мог бы пользоваться этим порталом, этим проектом. И как раз нацеленность нашего проекта на то, чтобы эта платформа по укреплению здоровья в различных ее областях, она стала нужной и востребованной для жителей города. И это доказывает, что это интересно всем жителям города, потому что как раз с помощью межсекторальной модели, а Ирина Султанова уже говорила об этом, мы собирали огромное количество жителей по различным целевым группам. Это бизнес, это просто жители города, пожилые люди, это преподаватели, это учителя, студенты, школьники, представители муниципалитетов. И каким образом мы будем избавляться от вредных привычек? Это очень разные альтернативные пути. И есть и пути, которые уже доказали свою эффективность. Ну, а Мика, вам я хотела бы сказать особую благодарность, потому что именно с вас, с вашего приезда в Череповец, в 2008 году, когда вы к нам приезжали, у нас начинался проект «Здоровые города», и Череповец был аккредитован в европейской сети ВОЗ, и мы продолжаем свою деятельность, и Череповец является в Череповце офис Российской ассоциации «Здоровые города», и мы очень дружим с Финляндией, мы очень дружим с Турку, и мы очень благодарны всей команде Турку, которая также объединяет города Финляндии в ассоциации, Балтийской ассоциации «Здоровые города». И вот я вижу здесь Эва, сидит и наши все остальные партнеры, Риста, Адхам, которые с нами в этом проекте Хелсибос обменивались практиками, и мы консультировались друг у друга, каким образом нам вести этот проект и сотрудничать с нашими городами в дальнейшем. Спасибо большое.
Спасибо большое. Я скучаю, Череповец. Very nice. And it was a good answer. I think that the point was taken. It is important that we, when we do our analysis, the interesting models, that we don't forget some, or at least we deliberately then say that perhaps next time. And I cannot avoid speaking of something which I mean, because there was so much on physical activity. I know, I have grandchildren, that many, unfortunately, especially boys, but also girls, use chewing tobacco. And it seems to be that it is linked with certain sports events and even sports activists. So that I think that we have to keep our eyes open. On the positive note, I really must give credit to all our societies, how the issues of tobacco, alcohol, through taxation, and I must say that Russia has taken quite a lot of steps. We often don't know it here, but I know that a lot of the life expectancy increase in Russia comes actually from smoking is not taking place everywhere, and alcohol is not sold in every kiosk anymore. And I think that these types of things, sometimes we who have done these changes before have almost forgotten how much political and local decisions has been needed in order to get that thing going. So let's go into the next question. And now I would like to call Umeå, Sweden. Ann Margarete Isgeklint has given us an interesting note on the mail. But I would rather give the floor to Ann Margarete. Are you there? Please take the floor and let everybody know what was on your heart. Okay?
Yes, hello. I don't know if...
Hello.
Hello. Yes,
Yeah, word.
You
We hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, I was very interested in the tobacco and the environment, and maybe like I wrote in the notes here, the production, use and littering of tobacco effects of the global goals in a negative direction. And I think we perhaps should talk more about the environment and tobacco for the young people. And that was my point in that note. So we can see how we combine public health with environmental issues and questions. Yeah, that was the point. Yeah, not perhaps.
Well, I mean, yeah. Thank you. I think this is one health also thinking what is the environmental issues very timely now, especially as the Glasgow meeting has recently just finished, and you are absolutely right that from that point of view, I think tobacco issues are timely, and it depends, of course, in which kind of a cycle we are. But I'm glad that you pointed that up. And when we go, there were also. Did you want to also say something, or I just finish in saying that with tobacco, the issue is, of course, like everybody knows, but it is a very, very, very addictive substance, and if you get. And that's why the point is that the industry tries to get children addicted into tobacco before they might know, but before they understand what is going to happen. And that's why we have a big challenge, we grown-ups, to try to help the decision making and do the societies in such a way that the addiction would be prevented. But please, I think that you wanted to give a floor.
Yeah, yeah. Just to comment, I think that the our pilots are indicating clearly that when you try to get a change, so you have to find out interventions and ways how to enable the change. It can be change related to health and well-being or bad habits, but like it came out already, the motivation is important. Internal motivation is the best. We know the theory of self-determination theory and what are the determinants there to get this internal motivation, but also environment is important. And in the case of tobacco, we have seen it that when you don't have the places so much, so you I think that it has had effect to smoking as well. But sometimes you will find out also ways, that new kind of ways. For example, in the case of inactivity, we have lots of people who want to be on the screen. They like to play, and nowadays we have found out that okay, we are not saying that stop playing, but we are developing that kind of programs. But when they are playing, so it has a good effect on their health, and I think it's coming in the future more and more out also how we can find out the new ways to make these intervention. But like these pilots are indicating, so you have to find out the way and the competence to enable this change, to make intervention and to make it together with people. So you are not producing services anymore, but you are creating together with the people, with residents, and through that they are also involved to make a change.
Would you say, was there somebody?
Yes, I was
okay,
thinking, it inspired me thinking about the discussion and the thoughts which our participants told us at the beginning of this conference about the challenges for health and well-being promotion in their city. And it was interesting to see that participants from the cities, they told that there is a like a lack of competencies. They need more understanding about the determinants and how could they affect health and well-being, because it's not from the expertise of all professionals from different sectors, and we need the experts from different fields to make solutions. But for that we need more like general competence also. We all working for the society, we should have the general understanding about these health and well-being aspects. That would enable us to work together more, because we would have shared concepts and shared understanding why we are doing this, because it has really a meaning. And it's lacking, and it came out in the thoughts from the participants today, that they told that there is a lack of understanding and lack of competence and lack of specialists and lack of motivation and so on. And we can promote that. We need to work for the training also, to how to train future professionals and so on.
Now, as I realize that we still have only 15 minutes time of this panel, I would like to raise the issue of these cross-sectoral cooperation models, which is Metropolia, Turku, also Stradins in Riga, and I think Kaunas University. I would like to use the opportunity to say that this is typically something which I have been very fascinated to hear, how all these projects and countries have been working together. And I must say that that I hope, I mean, something what happens when a big project comes to an end is that people are busy, things just almost disappear in the air. This is something which I would like to give you a testimony that please try to write down in the line what you have done or said today. And my advice to make that even more clear, I hesitated to say simple, because I think that it would be very important to give the idea of someone who has just heard about the projects, let's put it this way, that what kind of information practically you can get by using these models, and they should be publicized in several types of media, but definitely those who are read by those who are working as our colleagues in the health sector, in the social sector, in the children's sector, in the educational sector, and the more the better, because I've seen so many times that good findings which have been reported, and then when I have come 1 or 2 years after, it's all a memory somewhere. So that this would be very important. I think that it should be made in a live form. I know that it takes work and effort, but if anything, this kind of a project should be important, and also that you would continue the contacts with your colleagues. You know, after half a year, you would send an email. How are you? How is it going, what you started? What was left from it? Because of course everything is not staying. Some things don't. They have their project time and then perhaps something else comes. But I would like to hear how do you feel about a little bit mixed or they are not mixed thoughts, but which are only kind of hanging in the air still. Please, would you... You don't need to promise and sign as authors, but would you find that in the same way helpful and useful and important as I do?
Eva, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, I think it's really important to distribute these good things that we have done during this pilot, and I think Pilot Cities has a really good opportunity to reach in their cities and give the examples that we have done in their city employees and to their colleagues, so how they have used model and how they have utilized it in this project work. And actually in Turku we are going to have this game that I already told about, and we are going to launch it after this final seminar, so then we can give examples how to use the model in concrete ways in everyday work life. So that's something that we are doing here in Turku.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi. Greetings, maybe from Riga also. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Elina. I'm also a part of the Riga Strategy University team, and we developed the model. Just also a couple of thoughts on everything that we heard also today, and particularly on the livelihood of the model further once this project is over. Well, I think it's our main goal that the model lives on and is being used, whether you know, we have this kind of project that supports it or not. And therefore, we really from the beginning strived and thought about for it to be more universal and more comprehensive, so that it can serve a lot of different situations and a lot of different partners also involved in cross-sectoral cooperation. And for example, we can say from our perspective that we already had some meetings with our local disease control and prevention center, who are very much interested in using the model and promoting it also, for example, for policymakers in the health promotion sector in Latvia. So I think this is a practice that could be achieved also by other municipalities or partners involved, not only using the model themselves, but also promoting it for other partners to use it in the future.
Thank you. Very good point. Now, before I'm just warning already, we have a good question coming from Piret Väljeots in Tartu. And while you get prepared, you had written a good comment, so please tell that to a bigger audience or to all of us. But just I respond to Riga that I just got I got these crazy ideas, but I got one idea is that of these three model project outcomes, I could see a relatively easily written article or note or news I'm a doctor myself, so that's why I'm saying the Finnish Medical Association journal. I'm 100% sure that they would be interested to know what Healthy Boost has been doing, and this kind of a thing is. But there are other journals on the health and social and educational sector which might be then interested. This was and ideally not necessarily, but it could be a short news article of all these three when it would still make it even more. It would underline the Northern Dimension partnership, what it does, and it's kind of a heavyweight on this part. But these are things I just wanted to pick up your, put it in the back burner, all of us. But I think that in all our countries we have this professional countrywide journals which could then easily be translated into other national languages, so that would even be a helpful idea from us. So now, Piret Väljeots, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, okay. You had a point.
Yeah, it's as you said before that, well, like we shouldn't talk anymore about those topics that we already know about, but it's not that. Simply the point is that we already know that, okay, tobacco, alcohol, and sedative time is unhealthy, but we should take a step further, not only to acknowledge it, but to create an environment where we can make better choices. Well, for example, when we take healthy eating habits, it's not well, too useful just talk about how you shouldn't eat junk food, but to create the possibilities how to make healthier choices. Like I know that in Latvia they have smaller taxes for local ecological foods. And in Tartu, we are making some like lessons how to make healthier foods and how to make better food in school catering. So it's not just saying that do it better, but we also have to give people the know-how and the practice how to do it better. If they don't know it themselves, how what's our possibilities, how to motivate them, how to support them, and how to create the environment where they can make those choices. So this is not only about the question of health promotion sector, but it's the question how to co-create, collaborate, and work together with other sectors. For example, in school catering, we in health promotion know what's good for the children, but we also have to cooperate with farmers, for example. We have to work on the policies, how to decrease the taxes for local and healthier food. And it's about transport companies, for example, how we can transport ecological food so that it wouldn't be too expensive for the schools or for the catering companies. It's about finding the ways, and it's not only the business of healthcare sector, it's the business for all sectors when we talk about boosting health and well-being of people. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say that you are absolutely right, that the question is that's why this cross-sectoral collaboration is so important, because you know, there are big possibilities which sometimes or often, I would say, we don't even have come to see yet, and therefore I think that this kind of a methodological ways to open our thoughts, and really that it will be genuinely cross-sectoral. Sometimes it's also that we talk about cross-sectoral in such a way that, and I'm looking in the mirror at this moment, that you invite different professionals in the meeting, and then you tell what they should all start to do, because I like that this is would be the right thing to do. And I think that it is really to put yourself into the place and into use of the knowledge of other people who open new windows, just like Piret, in my view, has just done. Now, our panelists, we are almost closing our panel. Do you have something on your heart that you want to still raise up? Yes. And if you look, if there is still on the notes something else, but please.
Just to repeat that in this Healthy Boost project, I think that we have created really valuable tools. We have created a model which is giving a framework, and it's really helping to have a same language to discuss across sectors about the processes or interventions we are planning. And we have created also this self-assessment tool and training, and they are also helping to identify where you are and where you want to go. So it's I think in that way they are valuable, and I hope that a good theory is also the best practice, and we know that beyond the framework, for example, there is lots of theory, but it's also implemented in practice, and in that way I hope that there is a discussion and between theory and practice, that it's not there, but it's there.
And you said that it is a language, but languages, if you don't use them, then they rust. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah, we need to use them.
I think you said it, but I just wanted to pick up this language word.
Yeah, thank you. Good point.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. First, thank you, Piret, for the very good concrete examples about the cross-sectoral need for cross-sectoral work. But I agree that the next steps has to be done in the cities and go on with this issue and advocate for this in the cities, and not let the structures in the cities, because maybe the structures in the city organization, they don't are so so easy to start to speak across sectors and work together, but work for that you can have change in the cities. It's very important, and it is now we have prepared tools, and one very interesting issue in this project has been really the look from the theory to the practice, and it has been interesting, and I think we have got good results to get implemented guidelines.
Would you?
Yeah, I would like to add, and we have been talking about the theory and need for the cross-sectoral cooperation, and I would like to remind to all of us who are watching our conference that we have extensive tools, but we also have collection of best practices and collection of co-creation workshops and the practices that came out of them. So please, I invite you to go to the materials section of our website and try to familiarize yourself, and you will see how the theory has been put into use within our pilots. And also please check the pilot section, because you will see about each pilot how they have been going and all the videos that you have seen today, you will also find there. Thank you very much. And back to you, Mikko.
Yeah. Thank you. My role is now to close this panel, but we still have the formalities and possibility to wrap up, so to say. But the message I want to leave is that in my opinion, what I have learned in Northern Dimension Partnership is that we have an opportunity to meet each other and to discuss with each other, often face to face, or at least with through new technologies. But it is a big gift, and I think that that many of the matters that we are developing in our thoughts, they are being flourishing from the different points of views, and sometimes agreeing, sometimes disagreeing, and making a symphony that brings us forward. So all the best to all of you, good health and happy moods. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we put it? Yeah. Thank you very much for the fruitful discussion and all the conclusions that we can conclude by the end. And thanks for those who have been actively involved from the audience and our partners. Now I would like to say that we will have a very short coffee break, and we'll be back at 14:10 CET, and we will start with policy recommendations that we came up with within this project. Thank you very much, and see you soon. And welcome back from the coffee break. Hopefully you could have your coffee break. I tried. And now we are getting into the final stage of our Healthy Boost final conference. And at this moment, we would like to introduce you the policy recommendations that we have come up with. And this was a responsibility of the lead partner, Turku, but I would like to mention that this has been our co-creation within the project. And please, I'm inviting you to watch the video. In this way, we introduce you to the project, to the policy recommendations, and then it will be continued by the presentation. Please. Thank you.
Healthy Boost addresses the transnational challenge of unhealthy lifestyles and health issues in the Baltic Sea region. The lack of capacities of city administrators, combined with limited resources and tools in the public sector, has become an obstacle to tackle these issues. Irregular office hours and increasing pressure of responsibilities at work can end up in sleep deprivation and unhealthy diets, which can turn into new normality. An overall course of losing touch with nature and not having enough recreational facilities is taking away healthy ways to overcome anxiety and stress. Experiencing social exclusion, feeling the inability to participate, has started to alienate people from communities and policy making. Bad habits and heavily advertised unhealthy products are adding another layer to the challenge when tackling the health and well-being of residents. These challenges are complex and multifaceted and cannot be solved by one authority or organisation alone with the current fragmented, incoherent urban policies at play. So how can we solve these issues? The solution lies in systematic cross-sectoral cooperation. We have seen great results by enhancing co-creation and engaging citizens as well as local authorities in planning new health policies and boosting innovativeness of city administrations to improve managing these complex challenges. What resources are needed and offered? time management, guidance with the right tools and established processes are the most necessary resources to tackle the challenges. Healthy Boost has developed an extensive toolset to help municipalities, managers and administrators to plan, build and develop cross-sectoral cooperation. As the first step, municipalities should start with self-assessment of their capabilities and willingness to engage in cross-sectoral cooperation for sustainable urban development. The self-assessment tool shows the weaknesses and strengths of the municipality and provides advice on how to improve. The model could be used to guide the managers to establish and run the cross-sectoral cooperation in one of the 5 domains: motivation, risk identification, leadership, communication, and coordination. As an addition, Healthy Boost has published a study on all 9 pilot projects carried out in different European cities. To thrive sustainably, the Baltic Sea region needs to improve the well-being of its citizens. Our health is our wealth. Here are our policy recommendations. 1. Cross-sectoral cooperation should be incorporated as a key feature in health promotion by including it in strategies and policy making, as well as in implementation. 2. Resources for cross-sectoral cooperation should be allocated, defining the common goal and co-creating. 3. The crucial role of residents and stakeholders should be recognised in cross-sectoral cooperation and decision-making. Let's build healthy cities for healthy people, together.
Thank you, and I would like to invite Ms. Minna Lainio-Peltola, a senior specialist in health promotion and our Healthy Boost project manager from our city of Turku. Please, Minna, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Adham, and good afternoon, all the partners and all the participants. I'm from the city of Turku, and I have had an opportunity to join this very active and successful project since last summer. And now, on behalf of this whole Healthy Boost project, I have honor to tell a little bit more about the background of these policy recommendations, which you have just seen introduced in the video. So these policy recommendations have been created, like we heard already, together with all our 14 partners, and they are the final product of our project, kind of a conclusion of all what we have done and what the partners have gone through and what have been learned during the project. We hope that any city tackling the well-recognized challenge of unhealthy lifestyles in the cities of the Baltic Sea region could theoretically use the recommendations in their health promotion work. And like we heard already in the video, but also during the whole day, the problems are too complex and often cannot be solved by one authority, company, or organization. So systematic, coordinated, cross-sectoral cooperation is needed to solve the challenge. With the help of extensive and practical tools for developing this cross-sectoral cooperation that have been tested by the diverse pilots in our project, municipalities can boost cross-sectoral cooperation in their work. So here you see once again this great network and all the partners from 7 different countries. So there has been altogether 14 different partners, each in municipalities, institutes and universities. And of all the partners, e.g. Västerbotten County Council in Sweden and Nofer Institute of Occupational Medicine in Poland hasn't have special introduction today. They have been an expert partners and have given a huge energy and help to the project. And then, how we created the recommendations. We've been working with our stakeholders and our project partners and have made few rounds of workshops, where they have told their stories and their thoughts, what were their experiences and challenges in implementing their pilots using cross-sectoral cooperation. First versions of policy recommendations was showed to our partners. They pointed out what is more important and what is less important. Then these all have concluded and summarized to these policy recommendations, which are mainly targeted at the local authorities. And I can show the policy recommendations. That's 10 pages of papers, and you will find them also from the web page. Then, the first recommendations puts cross-sectoral cooperation a key feather in health promotion. So when there is health-related complicated problems, then there is a need for coordinated cross-sectoral cooperation. The urban life of the residents often takes place in more than one sector. And the same time issue can be looked at from different perspectives. But the common tasks and goals are often overlooked in a municipality, where departments do not know that they have similar goals, and they are trying to solve quite similar interconnected issues from their own perspective. The multiple and different needs of residents are very challenging to recognize within one department in the municipality. While one aspect of a resident's life is discussed and thought about within one department, the related or same aspects might have already been worked upon by other departments. So we recommend you will get best results if cross-sectoral cooperation and your goals for cooperation are incorporated into strategies to policy making and implementation. Then it's easier to build common understanding to cooperation and define needs and common goals. At the same time, long-term effectiveness of the work will increase. The second recommendation concerns resources. The different competencies brought together can build a better capacity for the future, as the professionals in some of the fields may be unfamiliar with the needs and challenges of other sectors. So it's important that different professionals with different competence meet and discuss with each other, but also other sufficient resources such as time and patience to build common goals are needed. Sometimes it takes time to do things across sectors, but the result will be more efficient. The starting point should clearly state why change is needed and how the outcome and results are going to be measured and reported. With the help of our extensive and practical tools, which you have today seen and which have been developed during this Healthy Boost project and seen today, you can use in your municipalities and boost your cross-sectoral cooperation. Then the third one. It reminds that you should widely think over to engage all the relevant partners, from city administrations, from various sectors, but also private companies, NGOs, universities, schools, and all kinds of informal groups. Like already told, complex urban challenges are too great for anyone to tackle alone. So systematic, coordinated cross-sectoral cooperation is needed to solve such challenges. The relevant stakeholders should be recognized, and it should be remembered that co-creation is done by people. Building a collaboration takes time. The mediation should be done by an initiator who helps others to cooperate and understand each other, creating both a space and channels for communications for them. There is no single solution that fits all. Each collaboration and each organization is different. But it's crucial that all the relevant partners should be engaged in mapping and planning from the beginning. Building trust makes collaboration easier. Face-to-face workshops and informal meetings for team building should be organized, and the work and knowledge should be shared. Citizens should be engaged in development processes as much as possible. Co-creation workshops add value, and it is worthwhile to make an extra effort to find a space and the time to discuss running issues with representatives from various sectors. And finally, the last, this battery is empty. Can you change it from there? But I will continue. Finally, a few words to make things happen. So today, our partners of Healthy Boost project have been presenting all the excellent and tested tools that have been developed during the last 3 years. And now I have the possibility again to invite and recommend you all to use them and these policy recommendations in order to help and boost your own projects and cross-sectoral cooperation. So you can try to use from now on these tools, and we assure you that they are very useful and can save your resources and can make the results more sustainable. And remember, you can find all the materials in our webpage. So please, let's all utilize these tools and recommendations, and let's make it happen so that we all can boost our cross-sectoral cooperation, believing health is wealth.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Minna, for presenting one of the most important parts and let's say the conclusion of our project. And I would like now to ask our audience, could you please bring back the last slide of Minna? There are all 3 policy recommendations shown. And we would like to ask our distinguished audience, our attendees, could you think one of these policy recommendations would be most important for you, and which one? And please put the link into the chat, and let's see which one is considered the most important among those that we have come up with. Yes, and yeah, we are waiting for the answers, no problems. And also I would like to mention that our screens in front of me that I was watching at, they are both turned off. So if it's possible, please turn them back on. Yeah, that's something from the technical part. I think I wouldn't open you a secret that there are 2 screens in front of me that I'm using to navigate my speeches and other stuff. So we see that first one, incorporate the cross-sectoral cooperation as the key feature in health promotion by including it into strategies and policy making and implementation is considered one of the most important. We have 15 answers so far, and we would like to get few more. And I would now admit that screens are on, but the writings are a little bit small. I see still that allocating the resources is also quite important. Yes, and I think we should 24, 25. Okay, let's wait a bit more. Maybe we can get... Yeah, but so far we see that incorporating the cross-sectoral cooperation as the key feature from the beginning is one of the most important for our audience. Thank you for your answers. I think we can continue at this moment. And here, one of the last presentations, but not the least important, I think one of the most important, is a presentation by our funding authority, Interreg BSR, Baltic Sea Region, that has been funder of this project or co-founder of this project. And I would like to introduce Laura Ligazzolo, Program Manager and Project Officer from Interreg Baltic Sea Region. And she will talk a bit more about the future funding options and priorities. Please, Laura, the floor is yours. I know that it's already late into the day, but it's very important and interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you all the organizers and the participants. First of all, I would like to, tell you that it has been very interesting for me to listen to this whole conference. I took on the monitoring of your project just this year, and to listen to your words instead of just the words that I read in the report is a completely different thing. But of course, I cannot tell you more about your own projects. What I can tell you about is about Interreg Baltic Sea Region, which is indeed the framework through which Healthy Boost was co-financed. I can move to the next slide. Yes, and also the next. So most of you know, maybe some might not know, between the participants, what are we talking about when we say Interreg Baltic Sea Region? This is part of the European Union cohesion policy and is one of the transnational cooperation programs. The program itself is an agreement between the EU member states of Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Finland, Lithuania, Poland, Sweden, the northern parts of Germany, but also partner countries of Norway and the northwest region of Russia are involved. What the program supports is the integrated territorial development and cooperation for a more innovative, better accessible and sustainable Baltic Sea region. The program itself does work through projects. Endure is one of the several examples, and these projects have to be transnational, meaning that at least 3 partners from 3 different countries from the program area that you see here on the map have to be involved. During the period which is now coming to an end, these that you see on the slide are the thematic priorities under which projects could be financed. As you see, 1, capacity for innovation, 2, management of natural resources, 3, sustainable transport, and 4, the EU strategy support. And it is within this framework indeed that Healthy Boost was financed, in particular within what you see on the very left of the screen, the program objective 1.3, non-technological innovation. And the objective of this was to increase the capacity of innovation actors to increase the Baltic Sea region ability to generate non-technological innovation, and to give in this way possibilities for the development of regions lagging behind. Let's say that as a matter of fact, to resolve large societal challenges like climate change, like energy, resource efficiency, and of course like welfare and health, as it was important for your project in particular, non-technological innovation are crucial, but their uptake and their success often depends on non-technological innovation, as you did. So through the improvement and the putting into place of business models, cooperation models, and the upgrade of those systems. I will just quickly show you a bit an idea of the projects which were financed under this objective to make then the link with the new program. And I will mention, and what you can see here on the slide are just few of the several projects which were still financed under the program objective of non-technological innovations. And for instance, what you see on the very top, this SEMPRE, which stands for Social Empowerment in Rural Areas, was a project by which charity organizations, trainers, universities gave social services in disadvantaged rural areas of the Baltic Sea region a new role. What do I mean? This was to empower people in need instead of offering help to them. And this project led, for instance, to the establishment of small social enterprises and to give an active role of the people from vulnerable groups in order not to be indeed helped, but to help in helping. Another project was, for instance, this Baltic Senior. And in this Interreg project, furniture manufacturers, designers, architects, and other experts gain knowledge about seniors' needs and preferences in order to win a competitive edge in designing customized and smart products for senior people, and by this to improve their quality of life. And I will just mention one last example on this slide, empathy. This project was about testing the concept of participatory budgeting in 9 pilot municipalities. And more than 1,000 ideas were submitted by citizens in these municipalities, and more than 130 projects were successfully brought to life and implemented. This is just to mention to you a bit what was done and what was possible within the framework of our program. And I have to say that while you were presenting today several of the concepts, several of the key information you put forth resonated in my mind while I was thinking. So what you can hear here again should resonate to your mind as well. For instance, coming to the issue of participation, the issue of delivering services which do actually meet the need of those who would use them. And here I come indeed to the new program, which is about to start. And these that you see on the slides are, let's say, the main lines along which the program is developed. So what we support is a transition towards a greener, more resilient societies and economies through transnational cooperation. Key concept is the customer orientation, meaning that project needs to be demand-driven. They need to be supporting the authorities in meeting the actual needs of the citizens, of their target groups. And what we support also is the transfer of knowledge and capacity building. If these are the main lines describing our program, which are the very specific priorities and objectives under which the projects can be financed. Here you see the whole picture on the screen. And I think what is most important for you as a partnership from stakeholders from your own sector is the yellow box, let's say. So what is the priority of innovative societies? And here we have 2 specific program objectives. 1.1, resilient economies and communities, and 1.2, responsive public services. I will give you a bit more information on these 2, as I think this might give you, yes, some useful hints on the possibilities of having additional fundings. So I would start from 1.2, which I indeed think it's more relevant for you. And so we're talking about responsive public services, which was a bit of background, why having such a program objective in our program. So the starting point, the challenges which are seen in the region concern the need to improve public services, despite also often challenging budgetary constraints. Then an additional challenge is that of tackling innovation barriers of service providers, but also of public authorities in charge of delivering services to citizens. The fact that let's say the risk of high costs are often seen as more important than actually the potential for very good improvements and developments in terms of gains. Another challenge is to keep up with the rapid development of new technologies and to make the best use out of this in order to deliver public services. And another challenge is about engaging citizens in the transformation of those services. Of course, it makes more sense that if those who are addressed are involved in the planning of the way they are addressed, this can be much more successful. And what do we aim at supporting in terms of action? We aim at supporting experimenting new ways of delivering public services, which are indeed tailor-made and based on the real needs of the one using them. Services which are cost efficient and whose success can be monitored through evidence from collecting data, and in such a way can be also replicated if this is a successful way, if this is a good practice. And actions we look for projects to put in place should help public authorities, specialized agencies, business support organizations, companies, and local communities in the Baltic Sea region to test unconventional approaches to services. This means reducing costs, reducing bureaucracy, and making public services more effective. Another way is to develop common standards, and an important way is indeed to engage citizens in this transformation in order to motivate the different generation, different target groups to participate in public life. And another important point is to create business opportunities. So the crucial role of combining public procurement, public authorities with research and also companies, which can help in putting into place successful actions. Then the objective 1.1 is about resilient economies and communities. You might find this also interesting for your own field of work. And the challenges in this sector that we do see are especially the new socioeconomic situation due to the pandemic, but also the needs for tools supporting the adaptation to unforeseen developments and the need to increase the engagement of civil society. So the program will support action for building fair, innovative and resilient economies and communities. And I would like to put much stress on these communities, the societal aspect out of this, not only the resilience of the economy. And the action we would like to support through projects should help public authorities, specialized agencies, again, business support organizations, companies, local communities in the region to adjust the production in the region to demand. So this is a bit for the most economic side of it, but also assist business in recovery, and most relevant for you, mobilize creativity to increase societal resilience. And this has to do, for instance, in behavioral shifts, mobilizing creativity, for example, also promoting smart working solution. And another action could be about developing coordination mechanisms. And this, in this point, the link with jointly piloting smart health solution, health habits, I think is very much relevant. So a look a bit at the schedule ahead for you to bear in mind some important dates which might be relevant for you. So we plan to launch the call in February 2022, but till then there are other important dates that you could bear in mind if you find this relevant. And the first one is very recent. It will be tomorrow, actually, as we have the first webinar. And the first one, it's indeed about what I just explained you, this topic about resilient economies and communities, as well as responsive public services. So it will be tomorrow morning, and I would invite you actually to connect in order to get a bit more understanding what we mean by these topics and what are our expectations for those interested in applying to have a clearer understanding. I could also copy here in the chat in some seconds the link to our website so that you can see the link to it and you can get registered. There will be other webinars coming on the other priorities, so should you be interested in them, these are scheduled as well. So you see the one about the water smart societies, the one about climate neutral societies, and additional webinars will come on next year. This is not the only, let's say, way we try to inform you about our program, about the new funding possibilities ahead, which are available. What is to take a look at, I would say, are the tutorials that we have prepared, and we prepare them for each of the program priorities. And there are also additional tutorials which are not only content focused, but which can help you in building up a successful project application. And now we have two tutorials on one, how to build good quality projects, core and small projects. These are the two among the categories of possible projects. Another tutorial, it's about how to construct budget for projects. So this is something I think it's useful as a tool for you to be guided. Another important tool, which is completely, let's say, a brand new of this new program, is the matchmaking platform, which we develop. All this I'm talking to you about is available on our website. And the matchmaking platform serves like as a meeting place. So the idea is to bring potential applicants' interests together to establish new contacts and to generate together new ideas and expand their network in view of the projects. important, let's say, as form of support we want to provide is what we will start from December onwards, and this is individual consultations, meaning before a full-fledged application for a given project is put in place and developed, and this is very much time-consuming, energy-consuming from your side, I can just imagine. We invite you to have an exchange with us, with the managing authority, with the Joint Secretariat, in order to have an exchange and try to tailor, to improve the idea itself before you have the full application itself. And then, of course, the date of February 2022, which is now, let's say, the provisional date, what we plan for, but it is subject, of course, to the approval of the program by the European Commission itself. And I'm very at the end. Here you can find, let's say, our communication channels, how to find information, how to reach out to us. And I will just copy now the link to our website in the chat so that all of you have access to it. I hope I stayed somehow in the time limit, and I'm of course available to your questions and whatever doubt you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Indeed, it was very important to hear from you, and indeed amazing opportunity for cities and municipalities to participate in transnational projects and of course exchange the experience, which is very important nowadays. So we don't do the same things again and again, and we use the best practices that has been tested. Thank you very much, Laura. And today, in conclusion, I would like to invite Mikko Vienonen, who is the moderator of the meeting, and then afterwards invite Risto Tolonenn, who is the chair of our steering group of the whole of the project, to conclude with the conclusions about the project. Thank you very much, and Mikko, floor is yours. And thankfully Mikko is here in real life. Thank you.
Yes, dear friends, here and there, through the webinar, it has been a pleasure to join the very, very rich information what we have been able to share. I have said that the most important issue to me in international collaboration has been the discussions with colleagues which deepen own understanding about world and also gives great pleasure in life. I definitely want to bring your messages also to the Northern Dimension Partnership in health and social well-being, where we have meetings actually already next week. Interestingly, this is about the aging and in a way we try to formulate similar guidelines for our future policies and strategies. It was a pleasure also to hear that the European Union and the Interreg are actively involved with the cities' quality improvement. It gives thought to believe that the collaboration will not only just continue but also deepens, and we all can benefit from that. Thank you very much for interesting day, and hope to see you many times in many places and collaborate together. Thank you.
I would like to invite Mr. Risto Tolonenn. Please, Risto, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Adham. Dear conference participants, dear colleagues, dear friends. As head of the steering group, I would like to congratulate you all for the work you have done in this project, in the project or with the project. You can be proud of your work. When we had developed the self-assessment tool in the project, we had done the self-assessments, we had written the roadmaps for the pilots, done the plans for the research work, we were hit by the pandemic, as the rest of the world. We had to rewrite everything. Think, what can we do in this new situation? And we managed to do what we were planning to do. Slightly, of course, done some changes, but as it stood in one of the slides that Lauma had, there was a sentence, difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. And I think that that is true also for this project. If you look at the outcomes we have created in this project, they are very practical, easy to use, really usable results. The Deputy Mayor of Turku, Dr. Elina Rantanen, mentioned in her opening words that as a decision maker, she is expecting or invites simple tools for complex and complex problems in a changing world, as a decision maker having to deal with so many different things at the same time. And I somehow think that we have managed to answer to that demand. Our tools, they are easy to use, they are clear to understand, and you can use it right away. And especially one point in this project, which I would like to raise here, is the interaction between the research institutions and the practical professionals. Not one sentence from the research institutions has been written without testing it into pilots. No pilot has been implemented without basing its work in the research and the theory. As Dr. Martin Heikki said, the theory is the best practice, and perhaps we have tried to follow that line in this project. Dr. Lina said that we had a duty to work cross-sectorally. Strong words, good words. You know, working cross-sectorally, it is not the rocket science. It means that you change slightly your way of thinking, you change your work practices, you can do it. And in this project, you know, we have tried to make an impact on structures and on procedures. We have not created directives for single citizens. Do this, do that, you will live longer, you will have a better life. But we have, our focus has been on structures, on procedures. It is an obligation to us to work better in order to get better impact, better projects, better results. Our message today is, you have no excuse not to work cross-sectorally. The time has come. You have the tools here, test them, use them. There are several ways of using them, but start today. And you know, it's not the organizations that work together, it is people. You can be the one who starts working in a new way. And remember, these tools are not only for promoting health and well-being. They can be used in all urban policies. The same structure, same procedures, you can use it. So, with these words, I am closing the seminar, but the last words which I would like to say you, and I hope that most of you already have learned them today, it is, let's build better cities, healthy cities for healthy people together.
Thank you very much indeed, Risto. Really good words that we have no excuses now. And we need to work cross-sectorally, and I would like to remind that this project has been also done cross-sectorally between people, and a lot of people, although not all of them can be here with us today because of pandemic, but we're all together in everything that we do. And here in the end, I would like to call everyone again to check our tools, to use our tools, and send us your questions if you have any to the email of anyone, and they're all shown on our webpage. And by the end, I would like to appeal again to our audience and ask a question. Can we put the link into, this is not a question, sorry, but the link will be in the chat. And I would like to ask you, what is the main thing you can take away from this conference today? Could we convey the message to you, our distinguished audience? And I know that it's almost end, but you can see that we have, despite being late at some point, we could finalize it in time. So if you make the last effort and yes, practical tools. Yes, we can do cooperation. Yes. Yeah, meanwhile, while people, oh, thank you. We need simple tools, but also will, yes. Cooperation is the motto of today's conference. And a little bit less, but cooperation as well. Yes. So I would like to use this moment and send my best greetings to everyone who have registered and participated today. To my distinguished guests, I feel like you're all my guests today, here and also online. Thank you for being with us this really long 6 hours, but with 1 hour in between where we had coffee and food and other stuff. And we have 5 minutes left, and I hope that you can spend these 5 minutes thinking about cooperation and the future. Thank you very much, and thank you for being today with us.